Mike Delson,
I'm here.
Tom McDonald, Jamie Pliff,
Here.
Greg DeMontier, Carol Langford, Danielle Matt,
Here.
Bing Matt, James Steele Jr.,
Una.
Martin Charlo, Len Tutti,
Here.
Lanice Trahan. Here.
Okay, can you give us a prayer this morning?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Lam Shesu Kalika Kolin Sutan. Father, we particularly mentioned Jimmy Walter this morning. Keep him safe, give him healing. We ask for your guidance over our decisions that we make today for our people. Keep our members of the armed forces safe. Keep our law enforcement, fire control folks safe on anything that they might be dealing with today. Families that have ill loved ones in the hospital, families that have lost loved ones, keep them comforted. And thank you for our beautiful homeland.
Thank you, James. We have minutes from January 6th.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Len.
trying to figure out what page it is, but it is regarding Scott Johnston when he was giving an update. On the very bottom, I asked about the abandonment of BIA roads to be Chief Cliff, Hog Heaven, and the urban management area rather than river management area.
Well, I know he also added the request that had been put in down by the river. By
Okay.
Painted Rock area. He had added that.
Motion to approve the January 6th minutes with corrections.
Motion by James to approve the minutes. Go ahead, Danielle.
I just wanted to check, I was absent, I'll abstain, but Greg, you were out on cultural leave last week, weren't you? Did you want that noted in there? It just shows you absent in the minutes. Okay, I just wasn't sure, just so you know, you can email Abby with however you want that to reflect for absences. Okay.
Second by Tom to approve the January 6th minute. All in favor? 8-4 and Danielle abstains. Oh, 7-4. Danielle and Greg abstain.
I need to abstain. I want to read them because I know I glanced at them when they got sent on my phone. Jen sending them because I know there was a couple changes that I wanted to make. So would it be okay if they're minor changes?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And you're going to abstain, you say? So Jamie abstains. We have an agenda for today. Any additions to the agenda? I see we have one walking. Glenn? If there aren't any others, I would entertain a motion. Motion by James to approve today's agenda with additions. Second by Jamie. All in favor? We're unanimous. We have one walk-in. Morning, Mr. Barnaby. Come on up. And Happy New Year.
Oh, my name is Gerald Martin Barnaby. I'm a resident of Dixon. Lived there since 1967. Yesterday we had a little bit of a commotion down at the agency. For those of you that don't know, my neighbors across the street, house caught on fire. And I'm sure the first responders were kind of perplexed at the people, the neighbors' lack of concern. But after 25 or 30 years of watching things that went on over there at that house and watching that whole family just totally spiral into nothing. A lot of us were just saying, you know, let it go. Please just let it burn down. That way we've only got one more house in that complex to deal with that whole drug situation that goes on there. I have a sleeping problem. If I go to bed at 8 o'clock, I'm up at midnight. If I go to bed at 9 o'clock, I'm up at 1 o'clock. So anything that goes on between 1 o'clock and 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm aware of. I see it all happening. And it hurts. Because my grandchildren that I raised, brought them up, changed their diapers, made their bottles. Now they're drugged. Now they're gone into it too. They finally spiraled down to where they're both now sitting up in Lake County. But my prayers were answered because they've both been sober for over a month now. You know, and I go to the sweat house every Sunday and I pray for all of these kids. Because this is an ongoing spirit. It's a bad, bad spirit. We have no way of battling him except prayers from here, prayers for our loved ones. And that's what we've done constantly. So I'm asking, you know, that maybe we step up and start watching that other house a little more. We're tired of it. And on the other note, I think it was last September, October, I was without a vehicle. So I was hitchhiking down the road, going to the store, going to get some groceries. Along comes Mr. Charlo. He picks me up, gives me a ride. We're talking. I used to work with his father. We're good friends. He mentioned the fact that you guys were talking about changing the name of Dixon. So I told him what I knew. But, you know, I moved to Dixon in 1967. That was my first experience with public schools because I've been in Catholic schools ever since. It exposed me to some of the history facts that I weren't exposed to in Catholic schools. And one of the things that just really, really irked me was the name of that town. Because if I knew the facts, that man and what he'd done to our people and this reservation, I was like, how? How can these people sit here and be fine with that? I hated it my whole life. I grew up there, but that man, what that man did to our people, to our town, to our reservation, I was happy. And I told Mr. Charlo, you know, back when I was taking language classes, this old man, Victor, sitting out there, he told us the name of this place used to be called Chili or Chilip. Either one is right. One means where the water's coming together. The other one means that's where the water came together already. That's what I told Mr. Charlotte. So what I'm here to ask you guys today is, who owns that hill up there where that big D is? Does anybody know? Because what I want to know is, if we're changing the name, why don't we just head up that mountain, change that D to an S?
Great idea.
I'd be willing to do it. I'd be willing to get the people to go up there and do it. I'd be happy to run up there and do it.
Well,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm not Martin for coming in, and that's a great point. We own that hill. So I remember there used to be some hang gliders that would go off the D hill, and we put a stop to it because of liability. A couple of those guys were some of my buddies, but I think that's a great idea. I think that's a super idea.
Yeah, I have one more problem. Last year, about 11 months ago, someone came in and made it aware to you guys that my pipes in my house had froze up. And it was totally odd because for 35, 40 years, that had never happened to my house. And I had no idea, you know, like, who called you guys, who told you guys what was going on. But the people from over at Elders called me up and say, well, you're doing this, you're doing that. And I, dude, I never called you. I never called the council. I never called nobody. So she said, well, we're coming down here and you're going to fill out these papers and we're going to fix your pipes. Cool. So that was a Thursday. Didn't get it done Thursday. So they said, okay, we're going to send 2 people down Friday. Friday was their day off. Every time I looked out there, those 2 boys were standing there looking at their clocks. Noon, I told them, hey, you know, Valentine's Day, your girlfriends or wives are probably sitting home wondering where you are on your day off. I said, you guys don't seem to be doing any better than you were doing yesterday. So why don't you guys just go ahead and go home? Me and my son will do whatever we have to do to finish this up. Cool. We'll be back Monday. We promise we'll be back Monday. I haven't seen him yet. But last week, I went to take a shower. And it was interrupted by cold water. Come to find out, my hot water heater burnt out. I have no avenue to replace that. So I'm coming to ask you guys if you guys give me somewhere to go. 10, 15 years ago, when I was a tribal employee, if anything happened to me, I could come up here and there was somebody here to take care of my problems, my children's problems, my grandchildren's problems. 5, 6 years ago, I come up here, get the administrative shuffle. So I quit coming up. This is the first time I've been here in 5 years. But I'm just asking for a little help to get me and my family back in our house, back in line, and I need a hot water heater.
go ahead, Daniel.
Martin, I'm glad you came in and you're asking, and thank you for the update on them not following through with the water heater last year. I mean, the broken pipes last year, and hopefully we'll have good follow through and get you some hot water fairly soon. We'll get you in contact with the right programs today. there'll be a little bit of paperwork to go with it and, I don't know if you've got the house number. I'm just across the street, but you can call me and let me know if they're not showing up and I can make sure we get it taken care of. Yeah, it was really an interesting time out there yesterday watching that house go.
It was
And
amazing. The first responders that showed up were three women.
Yeah.
Three women out there by themselves for half an hour, 45 minutes. And I knew there were shells in that house. And when them shells started going off, we all hit the deck saying, you know, these women are still standing out there. You guys don't know what you're doing. You know, that's scary when shells are flying and there's a couple boxes of them going off. I mean, I'm proud that they were out there trying, but they had no idea what they were doing. But I thank you guys for your time.
Carol, go ahead.
Just wanted to ask you if you would mind giving me your grandkids' names that are in county, and then maybe we can get them into the drug court system. to help them.
Damien Perifado,
What was the first name?
Damien,
Damien? Okay. I don't know where they're at in the system, but we can look into
and
it.
Angel,
Angel? Okay,
Angel Barnaby.
okay.
She's been there a lot longer, and when you deal with these addicts and you've known them all your life, you can tell the difference in their personalities. The last time my granddaughter called me up from Lake County Jail, I was happy because I was actually talking to my granddaughter for the first time in 3 years, 4 years. And I told her, I said, honey, you sound good. And she said, I've been straight for 6 weeks. And Papa, I feel. So I'm glad, she wants help. And I appreciate it. Thank you guys very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you for coming in, Martin. Yep. Better hurry. We'll be out the building. Then you had an issue this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the council. I just wanted to talk about the gaming compact. As many of you guys seen last week, they shared a audio of the Montana Gaming Commission meeting. How they were questioning our roulette, whether with class 2 or class 3. And I think I didn't listen to the whole thing, but it sounded like they were going to have to meet with the Indian Gaming Commission on that particular issue. But you know, I've been against the compact from the day that it was proposed, and I'm still against it. And so, as I mentioned in my email, we have the state of Montana questioning our class 2 operations. And I just do not like the idea of entering into any kind of agreement or compact with the state of Montana, especially when it comes to our gaming operation. Class 2 gaming is very successful right now. And I just don't see how class 3 is going to benefit us. I understand, you know, and I totally support having the lottery system here on the reservation. But right now, I just don't like the idea of the state of Montana getting involved in our gaming operations in any way, shape, or form, especially when the last incident, when they're questioning our roulette bill. So I just wanted to bring that forward and see what the other council people think, if you guys still want to move forward, because I'm ready to make a motion to withdraw. I just don't think it's a good benefit for our tribe to do this at this time. At this time, I mean, we could do it in the future. Right now, it's just, yeah, I'm just not feeling comfortable working with the state of Montana, especially when it comes to our gaming operation. We're successful right now. We're successful at class 2, and I think we just leave that alone. So,
Thank you, Lynn. Go ahead, Carol.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we could wait until we have legal come in and talk to them before anybody makes a motion. I hear what Len's saying, but also we have a right to do class 3. And there are people that do play class 3, and it allows us to have card games. It allows us to do other things that, you know, if we decide to do it, but if we don't, fine. But I think we have every right to, and then we also have a right to tell them to mind their own business. Class 2 is ours, you know, and it's clear, the law is clear. So they can look at it all they want. There's nothing they can do unless Congress passes a law to change class 2. That's where I'm at, but I'd like to hear from Melissa at least.
Go ahead, Lynn.
yeah, I somewhat agree with Carol. I mean, I love class 3 machines too. But it's just the concept, and the fact of the matter is that we're gonna have the state of Montana having some kind of regulatory authority telling us how to manage those class 3 machines on our casino, telling us what our payouts can be. And then not allowing us to get into the open market to purchase our own gaming technology. We have to use the state of Montana's technology. We have to buy their games. We can't go out in the open market and do that. They're not allowing us to do that. And yeah, that's a couple of reasons why I just think that we just need to bail out of this compact.
One thing before we go further, state of Montana will have the right to observe our class 2 operations, no matter whether we're in a compact or not, to question whether we're stepping outside of class 2. They'll always have that policing ability. That's something you got to be aware of. I've got Jamie, Greg, and then James. Jamie?
Sorry.
I guess I would just like to, yeah, have gaming come in, but because I as well, I know Greg and I are new, but this is an issue as well when I was out campaigning that I heard about. And I think what concerned me was that I was told that both the LLC, the operations, and the commission both did not want the compact. Now, recently I've heard that they've sat down and kind of negotiated some more language into the compact, the operations. But I would still like to see it for sure, because I can honestly say I don't agree with it either. I understand that the state has the right to come in at any time, and they're wrong on the roulette machines because they've been certified and they are class 2. They'll find that out. I think what bothers me is, like Len said, we should have the right to certify our own games. We should have the right to use whatever games we want, but we're going to be held in that compact. We're held to what the state says that we are to use. And the other thing that bothers me with the state, and I've said this before to the operations, is I was in Butte, Montana, and I watched a lady win $32,000 on a machine. She just got the money handed to her. She didn't have to fill out a form for taxes. And I've seen it others where it's above $2,000, it's $3,200, $5,000. They never do. And I asked the cage, Does anybody ever have to fill out a tax form? They said no, because it's just $800 win. Every bonus is a new win. So that's their loophole, how the state gets through it. You think the state is going to allow, when they bring those class machines into our casino, do you think they're going to allow our tribal members to not have to fill out taxes? No, they're going to make us, because we're so overregulated. And now the state is going to make our tribal members anything over, well, the new IRS is 2,000. They're going to have to fill it out. But you go down to Lucky Lil's in Kalispell or Missoula and nobody has to pay those taxes. And that really bothers me.
Greg?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, this is a very important issue because gaming is huge from an employment standpoint, from what it provides to tribes. We have a gaming commission. We have a board of directors over the operation. We have a legal department to advise us on the legal side of things. I would like to get all of our heads together. The different perspectives, particularly the board and the commission, get their input and sit down with legal and come up with a good strategy to move forward. The one thing that's been clear in my lifetime that the state of Montana is very good at is encroaching on our sovereignty. They come in just a little bit and it just sort of seems, oh, that's okay. But once they're there, they kind of got a foothold and then they're taking a little bit more. There doesn't seem to be an end to it. And if we start to let them in on gaming, I don't think there'll be an end to it. There will never be enough to satisfy them. It's who they are. And we just, it's their nature. And I'm not condemning that nature, but that's who they are. And I think we need to stand up and recognize that giving in just a little bit means we're going to have to give in some more and then some more and then some more. So we need to find the right place to take a stand and to say no more. So.
James?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the comments. Just interesting to look back at, you know, my time and the time when I was chair, that no one would have fought the governor of the state of Montana. We have had very few chairmen or leaders that would have taken on the governor who was supposed to be our friend. And we were completely subservient to the state of Montana at the time, pretty much, in terms of Class 3 gaming. The vast majority of the gaming activity on the reservation was being reaped by the state. We were getting a minority of that. In 2004, when I got on council, Vern came in and he said, we're hemorrhaging money at the resort. And we were losing money hand over fist. So we had our gaming operation, but it was losing money. And then we had Schweitzer get elected and we started on the negotiation strategy. And I kind of made the decision myself to keep our head lawyer out of it because he was in favor of the state. And I want to tell you, it's pretty embarrassing when you go to national conferences and stuff and the other tribes are looking at us like we're idiots because we got all these non-Indian gaming establishments on our reservation. I want to tell you why we're at where we're at with Class 2, because we fought, the council at that time fought, and Carol was a part of that. Jamie's part of some of it. But my predecessors, I don't think would have done that as chairman. And probably my successors wouldn't have done that as chairman, no offense. Because nobody wants to fight with the state. The one time we had a standing ovation in the quarterly meeting is when we fought with the governor of the state of Montana over Class 3 gaming. This Class 3 compact, we are in charge of it. I don't think we should throw it out. I think we don't have to put those machines in if we don't want to. It doesn't say we have to do that. I was excited about the lottery option of it. We don't have to do anything in this compact, actually. We are in control. But I understand folks have other opinions and thoughts on that, but I'm okay with class 2 because it's making money and we're in charge of what is our right to be in charge of, where we weren't before under class 3. And I want to tell you, we had NIGA, Ernie Stevens, rest his soul, was against us fighting with NIGC. We had all these Oklahoma tribes and California tribes are wondering, why are you suing NIGC? And they kind of ridiculed us and made fun of us. And now those same people, I saw them last November in Seattle arguing over sports betting. I'm like, wait, where the hell were you guys when we were fighting Phil Hogan and John McCain over class 2? We almost didn't have class 2 because of John McCain and Phil Hogan of NIGC. The National Indian Gaming Commission, that we pay their salaries. The tribes pay, all the gaming tribes pay that organization salaries, and they were fighting us over class 2. We almost didn't have class 2. It was on a knife's edge. And I understand the concerns of the state of them being interfering, but they were doing that before we had a class 3 compact. They were trying to get through on the liquor license. They were trying to use a liquor license to get in and meddle in our books. But at this point, I will not vote for a rescission of the compact because we're in charge. We don't have to do anything. But I understand if it comes to a vote.
Thank you, James. Carol, go ahead.
You know, my issue is less about the state, and it's about pushback from within. Us as a government have every right to negotiate a class 3. And then you get the little talk behind you that there's people in the organization that don't want things. Well, I think we need to make it clear that it's this government that makes these decisions. And when we make a decision, we don't need to continue to have blowback about it, because I think we have done our due diligence along with our attorneys. And I know we need to take staff along with us, because we don't need that kind of pushback when we're trying to do the best we can for our people, for jobs, for all of that. And so I think we've made the proper decision. I think we've extended ourselves as a government to do what we need to do for the best of our people. And if we start allowing internal stuff to say, well, why are you doing this? Or this is a sovereignty issue. Well, I think we know that, but we can't let this hurt us because of internal squawking. And I'm not saying that's what's going on with Len or Jamie or anything else, but I've heard it. They've come to me and asked me to rescind this because of this and that. No, the government has a right to do this. So that's all I have, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Jamie?
I just have a couple comments. First to Carol. I'm not asking it to be rescinded. That's not what I've said. I would like to see the compact. I asked to see the compact before and I was told no. And I was told no because it would confuse the membership. And I think that is very, to just totally disregard, like the membership is too stupid to understand it. And so I'm not saying that. I would like to see the compact before I agree to anything, because from what I've heard, and I would like to know what I've heard is true or not, because from what I've heard, though, the state does have a lot of control over us, which they don't have to. We can say, no, we want to choose our machines. We want to certify our machines. So I would like to see it, to see exactly what is true or not. And just to say, what James said. I just have to, say that when we were doing the class 2, we went to Washington DC to one of the NIGA executive meetings, and we told Ernie Stevens and Jason Giles that they weren't fighting for the small tribes. We said, you guys are focused on big gaming machines. We only have this, and we explained it. And Ernie and Jason actually came to CSKT to see that. And they met with us, they met with our Montana Indian Gaming Association, and then they started supporting us. So I just wanted to correct that. He's right that they weren't. And we had to, they came here and we told them that Phil Hogan and them weren't helping us. And so they did come along with us somewhat. I just wanted to say that.
Tom?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think it's a interesting discussion. I appreciate the chairman's comment about regardless of where we're at with any compact, the state can come into the facility and look at that. That could have happened no matter what. Could have happened 3 years ago. What I'm interested in and what the door was here was that the state embarked on a new wave of different gaming when they did sports betting. And so that opened up a door for us and an opportunity. And so also, of course, you know, I want my res millionaire. But as I gamble, I am a gambling fiend. So I mean, I game everywhere, and I want every tool in the tool bag for us to generate money, whatever it is, whatever it might be, because I know that there is more of a market we can capture, and if there's a tool with a compact with the state that might behoove us, then we should utilize that. But again, this compact is strictly optional on what we do with it. We keep what we got going for sure, because it's proven to be very lucrative. Is there something we can get out of a new compact with the state of Montana that would be also lucrative, that would be additive to what we're already doing? That's what I'm interested in. I certainly don't want to jeopardize any of our sovereignty. It's always been battle, as Representative DeMontier said, with the state. You know, I ended up getting a college degree because of our battle with the state over fish and wildlife hunting rights. And so I know that battle, and I'm certainly not scared of doing any battles in the future with the state of Montana to protect our sovereignty. But I appreciate the conversation, Len. I do. But I would stay in it. That would be my opinion at this point in time.
Carol, you have an issue for this morning.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, yesterday in the chairman's meeting, there was a discussion about probation. And I really appreciate Jamie bringing it up, because I really think that probation is a critical part of everything that we're doing in the court system, 280, all of that. And it's about making our people accountable for, let's say, drug testing, scram bracelets, making sure that these people are on task. And I really feel like I would like to see the council consider possibly elevating probation to, I don't know if it necessarily needs to be a standalone, but it needs to come up out of this hole where nobody, like Jamie said, it's not even on the org chart. And it's like, you know, we've sat in the court, healing court now, and I've been at Lake County Court, and I recognize what the probation officers do in Lake County. And I'm not saying let's model after them, but certainly it was very clear yesterday that their probation's just kind of like a stepchild. And it's time to elevate it to a level when we have Tawahi funds now. I think it can bring it up and help elevate it to a level that it should be at. And I know those people over there are trying to do what they can, but we're even having a hard time getting drug testing done. And there's 2 ladies that'll come in on Saturday, but it has to be random. And there is a system up in Polson called compliance monitoring, ran by Greg Jacobson. And he does the P-test and testing and all that kind of stuff. And so there is already a local company that does that, but we have to use them. I mean, and I think, you know, the courts talked about this and I shouldn't probably go outside of what the court's doing, but I think we at least need to look at that and let them know that, yeah, they are a part of this organization and we need them. And like I said, they're a critical part of our whole system over there with the courts.
James?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I think on that, Carol, I think there, an economic development type of thing, tribal member had mentioned to me last year before, is why don't we have our own business that's doing that same stuff and we get the money out of that. You know, we have drug testing. Why don't we have that through our own tribal business instead of sending it to these other agencies or whatever? But the other two is I think I agree that, you know, there needs to be some consideration concerning probation, but I also think, you know, we have them come in here and explain, you know, if we have questions concerning that department, bring them in here and talk to them. I mean, there's, you know, we always say there's two sides to a story, then let's hear it from them too. Thank you.
Jamie?
I guess I just don't want people to think that there's like an issue or anything. What it is what they've said is they're short-staffed. I mean, that's the bottom line. And I guess that was my point yesterday is they've said they're short-staffed. They've said that over and over. And we, from the healing court, are trying to utilize them exactly for testing. We would rather do it from within than contracting with an outside agency. And so we want them to do more, but we're just overwhelming them by giving them more participants to test. And so my point was, I would wish that whoever is in charge of them would listen to them to say that they're short-staffed. So there's no, you know, issue between them or not, you know, whatever. It's just that they're short-staffed and that's what they've said.
Thank you, Carol, and Jamie, and James. Danielle, you have an issue this morning.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to let everybody know that the MMIP license plate is now available. The MMIP Advisory Council has worked pretty hard on that over the last year. And so any funding, if you purchase a plate, that funding will go into a fund that the Advisory Council can access to help with missing and murdered Indigenous person cases throughout the state. So go get your plates.
Thank you, Danielle.
Question.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it online now? Can we find it online?
Yeah, and I can forward you a link for
Okay,
the
thank you.
information as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Right, Tom.
I think, Mr. Yeah, I saw it on the news. So what a wonderful thing to see that on the news, and what a great outreach, and just you know, having plates. It's there, and it's surprising how much revenue those generate. Those plates do. I appreciate that effort. Thank you.
Good, Jamie.
Are you on the state advisory?
Yes.
Okay, because yeah, I just wanted to assure that that money is put where it should go to. And I think that you would have a good voice in that.
No, I made the push for us to establish a fund because it was a non-funded task force, now an advisory council, and we had no money to do anything. So I really made the push to make sure that there was some sorts of funding going into that.
Mr. Chair. And follow up, was that the $1 battle that they talked about, the legislators? Was that to establish the account, correct?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Greg?
Can you turn your mic on?
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
sorry. Back in the day, one of the councilmen would stand up and say, "Orders of the day, Mr. Chairman," and I don't want to be that formal, but we do have an agenda here, and we do have a very interesting presentation, some grant funds to go at for a very important purpose, and so I would just like to encourage to move forward with the agenda while the folks are here and can talk to us about it.
Jamie?
I think that's a good point. I know in the past, one of the things that the council did was to put council issues at the end of the day. That could be something that could be considered. So issues are important.
Morning, Sadie. Come on up. Happy New Year.
Esquext Pesia. And Happy New Year, members of our council. Today, Milani and I are here to seek resolution approval to continue to apply for the MILP grant. The deadline approached pretty quickly, and what we decided last year was to alternate with KCC. So we applied last year, got it. And then this year, due to communication issues, we were notified the day before the grant was due that nobody had applied for it yet. So we reached out to Vernon and let him know, and he said, yes, please go after it so CSKT can have funding. So we did. And I consulted with Tony as well to make sure that we weren't overstepping by applying before coming before you all for approval. So we did apply for it. We have not yet been awarded for it. But in the proposal that should be in your attachments with the resolution, it kind of outlines what we're hoping to do with this year's funding. So today we're here to ask for that approval, resolution approval to continue the process.
Motion to approve the grant application.
Motion by Jamie to approve the pursuit of the state monies for language. Second by Greg. Any discussion? Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, thanks, Eddie. Looks like some pretty good work in here, and I'd be a little curious to understand how these objectives, which are categories of funding, right? How those were chosen, and in particular, I think there's a very important one on there that I'm glad to see about strategic planning. So if you could explain a little bit about how you, who all was involved, I guess, and how you came up with these four things, because it reflects some work that I want to make sure that we understand. So when we support, we understand what we're supporting and not just giving it lip service. So thank you.
Sure. So there's actually 5 different categories here. They're broken up into what the state kind of puts out there for us, and we need to find ways to make them kind of fit. I'll have our language program manager, Midlani, speak to more about kind of how we came up with these things. And again, so you all just remember, like this was in a couple days that we had to turn around and kind of put some things into place. And we've been very successful in the past with this grant in carrying out the things that we wanted to do. The strategic planning, though, I will say is something, there was some strategic planning a while back in 2016, like it says in the proposal. And that kind of went on. Some of those things were carried out. I was not a part of that planning. Some of our staff was. I was working in historical collections at the time. But we just feel like we needed to revisit that planning and see where everybody's at with language efforts on the reservation and bring people together and try to help one another and see where we can set goals and help one another with that process. So, Ilani, do you want to help answer that question?
As far as that Indigenous collaboration, I did have a meeting with them last year talking about their role in the last one in 2016. And and I can forward their report to you from 2016. There was a lot of the people who are involved in the language revitalization efforts at that time. They were there. It's kind of a facilitation process where we just bring people together and discuss, important things that are going on. And I've had many people suggest we need to do that again, reservation wide, because we have so many different programs, entities doing different things. So I reached out to them, and one of the I think the main things that I'm thinking about is that they're objective. They're also native, so that they can kind of bring. And I would love to extend that to also the all tribes. So all three tribes that are here, so that we can coordinate and also see what other ideas are happening. I know that we are involved in quite a few other discussions, like with our sister tribes. And so I've worked for early childhood, I've worked for NCOSUM, I've worked for the Salish Kootenai College, and now I'm at the culture committee. So I have a feeling that I feel like I can reach out to some of those places and see, bring that together and see what else we could do, because there's a lot of suggestions out there, and I think it's the same thing, just not enough people to help do those things. But if we can bring them together, bring all of us together with some of those ideas. And I like the idea of you guys knowing what we're trying to do, and also being able to reach out to other people who, in other places. So yeah, that's the idea behind that.
Go ahead, Tom.
Mr. Chair. Sadie, Lemon up so much for being prepared and putting in for this. One of the things that always frustrates me is knowing that there's grant money out there that we would be likely receiving and miss the opportunity. Or even worse yet, getting the grant and then not spending it and having to turn money back or not following through. So thank you for doing that. Lemon up for being there. So that gives us this funding that's critical for us for this effort that's very critical also. So appreciative of that. Is there question? I should ask this question to Tony, because there was this agreement back and forth. And I guess, is there some reason we should know why the other application didn't make it?
I think it's just communication on OPI's side. And just having clearer, better communication with them. And so we've talked about helping aid that too, just, whether it's forwarding emails or connecting. They have turnover in staff often too, so that's probably part of it, but just roll with it and be prepared, and it's kind of what we just tried to do, so.
Well, it's deeply appreciated.
But
Carol?
First of all, I appreciate both of your backgrounds and your diversity, but to me, I think what this is going to do is tear down some silos. The silos have existed and they continue to go away, come back, go away. And so whatever we can do to mend this system, because this is probably the most important issue, our language. And we talk about it all the time, but I think it's important that we make it a forefront issue. And I would also like to be included in any meetings that you have. When you bring everybody together, I think it's important that the leadership sit at the table too. I mean, not all of us, but a few of us I know will probably be interested in coming and being a part. And Sadie, I'll make an appointment next week to come and see you finally.
sounds good.
Thank you.
I do know that when this legislation was renewed at the state, that it's always been targeted at the tribes. And I was sitting with Macy when it was broached to Macy, and we argued hard that it should actually be targeted at all the languages that are out there, that each language should participate and get their own grant. And so we made that argument. It didn't succeed, but I'd hope that we continue to make that as this legislation is renewed. And then it also had some fairly hefty reporting requirements, and that wasn't received real well. And so I'm hoping that we can argue the next time it's renewed with maybe targeting every language that is in Montana, as well as letting the tribes control the reporting. So with that, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Glenn, you're in favor? We're unanimous.
Lunch, and I hope you guys have a good rest of the day. Reminder that our elders advisory council meeting for the first part of January was moved to the 21st. So I'd like to invite you all to attend that meeting, and it would be great for our elders advisory council to even meet our new representatives and see familiar faces. Lunch.
Oh, I'm lunch. Morning, Ruth. Patty.
Question for Tom.
Go ahead.
Hey, Tom, was there a resolution regarding Medicare when the reimbursement? Or was there a policy? You remember?
Oh, yeah, we took action on a formal document. I think it might have been a resolution. I can't
Okay.
remember for Medicare B reimbursement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I need that document. Somebody's asking for it, and I think it's okay to give it to a member that's getting
Oh,
reimbursed.
absolutely.
So
Go ahead, Ruth.
Okay. Modification 4, not modification 3 as I originally requested. Modification 4 to total fiscal 26 appropriations. So we received some awards of funding in the BIA compact. We also had a need to increase the mandatory program in general fund, the appellate court, based on the action you took when you selected the Chief Justice. We also have to update the amount that is currently allocated in contracts and grants. Oh, look at, see, it says mod 3 there and it's mod 4. The corrected version has been sent to both Abby and Jennifer, but this was my first submittal. In the table, just quickly recounting what those changes are. Again, in general fund column, in court probation, the 51,000. Appeals court was enacted at 103,000. You raise the salary of the Chief Justice and the associates, and that increase was needed to be 51,000 in total. They are now at 154,000. In the Indian Affairs Compact, the government services 24,000. That's a single grant of housing improvement to Housing Authority to do one project. I know, don't get so excited. This is the first time in about a dozen years we've gotten this type of funding. Health and Human Services, the award of 200,000 is actually to bring to the total awarded for childcare. Total awarded is 1.12 million in the discretionary, 326,000 in the mandatory. We estimate funding at the beginning of the year. So this is just to bring that total to what has been awarded. What you see, the decrease in natural resources is actually to bring an additional award for suppression of lake trout. The prior year, it looked like there was some carry forward, but the program assured us that all of the funding had been spent, so no amount to be carried forward. So that's just reflecting that amount does not carry forward. And the new award of 196,000 will be allocated. The biggest one in forestry of 1.4 million for forest development. It's in major support of the greenhouse activity. So that is a welcome addition to that. And the contracts and grants increase a total of 6.1 million in 3 of those functional areas for government services, health and human services, and natural resources. Those are various program increases, and it's according to how contracts and grants will increase the amounts that are actually awarded. So if you wanted a program by program breakdown, you would have to get that information from them. The total increase now of 8,145,233, bringing total allocations to 335,627.
Question? Oh, motion by Tom to approve modification 4. Go ahead, Greg.
Did we cover it all? We did cover it all.
So, Ruth, I want to make sure I understand the compact increases, decreases as a line item. Okay, so as I'm understanding this, those are dollars that have been made available to the compact for various reasons or purposes on the BIA side, but it's new funding for us, which is a good thing. My question goes to the particular line items that are in there, because one of the advantages of the compact is getting the resources and adjusting things from line item to best meet the needs of our particular tribe here. So I'm curious as to whether or not the BIA is developing a practice of saying this is how much money we have at the beginning of the compact, and then coming in later and saying, okay, here's some additional money for this purpose, and this purpose. That's cutting against the whole principle of self-governance and BIA kind of telling us where the money needs to go. So do you understand my question or concern about that? Okay. Well, so what's happening here?
Patty, do you want to answer Mr. Demontier? Just teasing. I have no doubt that in less than a year, she'll be able to answer that question just as fully as I can. So Mr. Demontier is questioning about the BIA compact is your first question, as I understand it. So in Bureau of Indian Affairs, the base funding is what I regard as, that's what discretion of the tribe is, to a degree. Base funding in that program request, as the BIA likes, or self-governance calls it, is the total of all of the activities that we had under 638 that were set by program level at that time, because that's how 638s were. We then consolidate that into, say, one pot of those amounts, and that becomes our recurring base. And that amount we can allocate as we choose. So we're not held to the contract 638 amount that BIA would have held us to in their world. So that part is in discretion, you know, at any time, anywhere. Those historic amounts, which started, I came on in 2000. So it was at some point in 93 to that point that these levels that each program is now allocated are getting. So it's forestry, lands, social services, whatever the program area was. The amounts, however, that I'm talking about are not part of recurring base. So the first one, HIP especially. Years back, the tribe entered into an agreement with housing to manage HIP. And Greg, you do remember that, I hope. I believe you were part of the management team that executed that reorganization of function. So HIP had been a tribal program. In fact, my stepfather was the HIP program manager like almost 50 years ago. Anyway, housing now performs that for us, but they're an independent entity, not under this governing body. So it's seen as like a pass-through or subrecipient agreement. So for this rare occasion that we get a HIP award, our option would be to retain it here in the government services and let some entity that you assign it to execute this project. But we're continuing with what has been done in the past. So I would not argue with you that, no, we don't have to give it to housing. We could keep it here and do whatever. The second one in childcare, because that's under 477. So that's an agreement with the other federal agencies, HHS principally, and this one for childcare. That goes through 477. So we cannot divert that somewhere else. And then the last one, where Natural Resources seeks a non-recurring one-time award for a specific project. So it was possibly made available in the regular way that either the Northwest region or at rare times, the headquarters level will make a pot of funds available competitively. Say, put in your proposal and this is, you know, you might get an award, you might not. So they have been doing, it's under invasive species line item in the Bureau side, but what their project is for lake trout. So they're using it to reduce lake trout in Flathead Lake. And this is the second or third award that we've gotten for that. So our discretion was to actually create a separate program and say, there you go, do your project, and it's available till it's spent. We could have just done one solid, single natural resources, say, program budget, and dump everything that were ever awarded that would be under their administration and let it go like that and say, it's up to you to monitor your spend, achieve your objectives, and go forward, and, you know, ultimate discretion. I have actually asked NRD to do that, but they choose not to do that. They would rather have that definitive amount program by program. And they have like this many programs of BIA separate pots of funding to administer. So discretion is not denied them nor us, but in cases where the funding itself is for a particular purpose, like 477, then we don't have that reallocation option or opportunity. And we'll revisit this very thoroughly at about April, I'm thinking, because we will be talking about both of the funding agreements and what is made available recurring and otherwise as you set fiscal 27.
Go ahead,
Good
Carol.
question.
Ruthie, I'm trying to find out, is that government services where the HIP money came in? Is the 1.9?
Where's that?
The HIP money, how much did we get?
In contracts and grants, it looks like it's an increase of 1.9 from what the previous allocation was.
And that's HIP?
No, the 24,665. It's for one project,
Oh,
one beneficiary.
I was.
And they even put his name in the award document. I'm like, okay.
Okay, so we didn't get any additional money in HIP. I don't know why I thought I heard HIP. Because you talked about housing and them getting the money, but we don't have to.
It's our option that we have detailed it to them to perform. It's almost like it's subcontracted. Well, that is what it is. It could have been allocated, say, to DHRD or somewhere to implement it.
Yeah, I have a real big concern with that, just because how ARPA was rolled out and they weren't prepared for that much money and that kind of work to be done. And I also think housing currently has an application process for this money, right?
Well, this is already, it's done and awarded.
Oh, okay.
It's done. Yeah, it's the methodology is really something else. It's like housing has to have applications to demonstrate the need and then say their total need was, I'm sure, far in excess of one project. Let's just say it was 5, but they got this one.
Okay.
Because HIP is one of those very small parts of the Indian Affairs OIP budget. The awards are very few and far between.
Other questions? Well, go ahead, Patty.
I did want to add with that HIP, the funding that came down for that specific, the HIP award was, they did specify the tribal member that it was awarded for. So we did let housing know.
We were just celebrating on email, Jody. I can't believe it. We got HIP funding. That is an extremely good question. As I said, and I can certainly look this up in the regs as to why it's not a different sort of methodology. If we could demonstrate through our eligible applications, we had $500,000 of need and their distribution to tribes across the country follow that, I could understand that and say, well, you're going to get 14,000. Good luck. Maybe we'll repair a window or two, but that's how it came down, literally.
Greg, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's always good news when more funding is coming down the pike. So please don't misunderstand my concern for what I see happening here. So I think, as most of you know, I worked on self-governance compact. I don't know, it's been 30 years ago or, so, or whatever, but the whole point of the compact was to create a significant level of flexibility for the tribal council to move funds around to best meet the needs that are right here, locally, as opposed to the BIA determining that, or I don't want to say worse yet, but Congress through line item appropriations saying this money needs to go here, this money needs to go here, and that's what your needs are. What I just heard on the HIP is a little alarming to me, and I would like to have some more discussion on this before we get into the budget process later this year. But did I understand you correctly to say that the BIA is coming forward and asking us to justify and identify the needs, particularly in HIP, in order to get the fundings coming down? Because that is contrary to where we started in the compact process.
So, Mr. Chairman, to answer further the question, if any of you have ever read the appropriations of the actual bills when they're enacted, boy, it's fun because we get used to reading the budget justifications so we can see what the agency requests. They say, well, we got this much in 25 and we were appropriated this much in 26 and we're requesting this much in 27 because that's where they're at today. And then you have to go back and say, but what actually was appropriated in 25? You see an amount, and then you have to go in and read the appropriations language. And let me tell you, this Congress and the current administration, we just learned, what was that one called? The American Relief Act. We got a child care distribution. This is a separate one from this one that is under the American Relief Act of 2025. Which went by me completely. Have any of you heard of that? Okay. Well, we're going to find out. I'll update you. So reading the appropriate language, it'll do things like the amount enacted in the prior fiscal year is what it is this year. Then you go back to the previous PL, public law that enacted that, and it'll say enacted at the prior year. I think we are at fiscal 22. So all along the way, if they have done any rescissions or have they done any like catches on to certain parts of that, say Indian affairs, that's what we have to roll forward with. Back to self-governance though, I want to get back to that one. What I have been seeing now in the early years, first 20 years, it seemed like the discretion and the opportunity was pretty full. It's in recent years when they started with the CARES Act, then the ARPA, the CRSSAA, the BIL, the IRA, and now this ARA, they are seeking more administrative requirements, like reports. They want to get us very committed to their idea of what reports ought to be, both financial and otherwise. I spend a great deal of time, telling programs and departments, you do not have to report to any federal agency anything unless you are directed by us to do that. So in BIA especially, there's the overlay of the trust evaluation where BTFA will come on site or through virtual and other means, electronic, to review our trust programs. So in speaking of the BIA agreement, especially on discretion, we've taken all trust functions. They're not telling us what to spend or how many people to hire, but we had better be able to submit to the evaluation because they're going to review everything we do and say you either pass or you need, corrective action. So we have ultimate discretion, yes, to spend and perform. And that's that's not even a report, that's more like an audit. But reporting confining us to certain things. We just point back to regulations and say, we're performing as is in the regulations, no more, no less. You cannot force us to follow the agency manuals like IH manual or IA manual. But we do have to follow the federal regulations, which come down from the statute itself. So we should be good. We can certainly prioritize, for sure. We can prioritize segments of our population. We can prioritize service areas, all across the board. And we, in our function here, a very limited function in budget, we start the programs out at the program level with, work plans. So you have a work plan for this period in question, either the last year or the current year and the coming year. And we're really looking for how they are endeavoring to do what they do. And the allocation, I want to remind council this all the time, that worksheet I just shared with you is how the BIA, if you see Fund 13 on the left column, just follow all those pages through. That's the whole BIA compact as it is presently. So you'll see in their programs you recognize, and then things you'd say, well, what's that about? Well, sometimes we have to ask. But in looking at what the allocation is, that number can be what is approved by council within what's made available. And I think BIA is really simple for us. It's pretty defined funding. Few, if any, of the activities funded in there generate revenue of their own. And so we're literally surviving on the funding that's awarded. IHS, as you well know, Mr. D, is a whole different thing. And we're actually doing some great big project working with them right now with management on how they're allocating IHS compact and third party. And I'll be coming forward hopefully soon so they can increase their spend for very high priority activities. We had done some things in the enactment of 26, and they have reasonably, I feel, come back with their argument for we need an add-on. So we've put them through their paces on that. I don't infer that health committee or otherwise, especially you yourself and Ms. Pluff being new, are party to that. So I hope you get caught up to that soon. To us, it's pretty straightforward. And we're endeavoring there just to have them manage within what's available, mindful of what they have unexpended, but needing to go forward, because this is the biggest thing we do as a tribal government is the healthcare system. And so making moves, here and there has to be pretty methodically thought and planned out. As I said, I'm thankful for you and Jamie and James's and all of your experience in that, because that's what it's going to take to make sure that it's successful.
How do we feel about mod 4?
Motion?
Need a motion.
We got to post.
Motion by James to approve mod 4, the resolution of
Just my pen.
mod 4. Oh, you made that motion second?
It's
Tom made the
James's.
motion. Did we have a second then? I lost track. Second by James. All in favor? We're unanimous.
All right. Let's pass yeah.
Thank you, Patty.
So I hope you all have a good day. I also want to catch up to Ms. Pion and Ms. Sandoval on the proposal they just submitted. One of my ongoing continual requests of the management in departments is that they include us in their funding proposals. If we're already resourcing it with tribal or other funds, we would like to see how that is going to interface with what we already allocate.
Is Eleanor available? Come on up. Good morning and Happy New Year.
Eleanor, you can use the mouse for your pages. It's on the screen. There you go.
Can you hear me?
You can.
Okay, awesome. I'm not sure. Oh, here we are, RMTLC. So I'm here today to speak to Tribal Council, from Rocky Mountain Tribal Leaders Council, the Tribal Epicenter program, and I was coming to see if we could update our data use agreement we have with Tribal Council. So the last time we had a signed data use agreement with you was in 2014, and we tried to get it renewed and reviewed every 5 years. So it's been a while. And so I submitted copies of them. Do you guys have those? Oh, awesome. Okay. Do, 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 do. So, this isn't there is an error, a typo in here. I have to change the dates. So I'll have to probably resubmit it corrected. But it's just, based off of the last resolution that was done and me going into your, resolution information to make sure I have it formatted correctly. And it's just asking that you authorize us to get tribal health data specifically from HHS, the feds, because we get IHS data, the state of Montana, and then service level data for health status. And so with this, we receive data from the IHS service units. It goes through the national warehouse, through the epidemiological data warehouse, gets cleaned and sent to us in quarterly increments. We use that data and we our epidemiologists analyze that and create reports for each of the tribes. We do 3 quarterly reports and 1 annual report every year. And with this data use agreement, it does talk about that here at the Epicenter, we are a public health authority for tribal nations, and that we are looking to get the IHS area billings area data, and that we use that to create the reports for each tribe. And we, when we come to the tribes to meet with tribal health directors, we do ask them if there's any priority areas or focus areas that they want us to pull more data from. Some of the data we look at is they ask for like specific infectious disease. We look at what behavioral health data we can get from the IHS, and then like accidents and injuries to focus in on certain areas. Like a lot of tribes ask for like dog bite data, how often it's happening on their reservation. We also use it to monitor any trends, and then we also utilize the data we get in case there's any coding errors. So if there's any code issues in the data sets we get, we do let the IHS area office know that there's an issue and that there might need to be some training that needs to happen with someone in billing or coding to correct if there's like some weird codes that pop up. So we do also put in the data use agreement that any tribal specific data requests we get, we don't share any of that data unless the tribal health director agrees to it by signature, because we do honor tribal data sovereignty and tribal sovereignty. So we don't share any of your data without your permission. And while we do this, we also make sure that all of our staff follow IHS guidelines for internet safety, HIPAA compliance. We renew our training every year, and the access to the data we have is restricted by classification and the specialization for each staff. So not everybody other than myself as the program director have access to all of the data systems in our files. Question?
Carol, then I got Daniel.
Yeah, I was just curious, have you reviewed this new document with Tribal Health? Yes, I've sent it to them several times asking for feedback. They haven't given me any questions back on it. Okay, that's not a good sign. They haven't responded at all, like we've looked at it, it's fine or anything. Because I also think if there's major changes or any kind of changes, probably requires a legal review. Like you said, there's HIPAA involved, and so we want to make sure our issues are protected, but I know this is a follow-up document, but 2013 is a long time ago.
It was a long
And I
time.
don't know how it fell through the cracks, if it's every 5 years. So maybe it should require that and some attention by the department head at Tribal Health.
Yeah, I am meeting with the health director after this, so I can ask him to give me a more thorough review or feedback on the document. I wasn't sure exactly, because we don't have any documentation on how we've gone previously to the tribes and asked for this, so I'm learning as I'm going.
Saying it's a bad thing, I'm just thinking that we need to make sure we're fully vetted here before we do this.
Okay.
And so I would be comfortable, Mr. Chair, if she could meet with Joe and he could come in and say, yeah, it's okay to approve this, but maybe I'm off base too. I don't know. Maybe Len has more information.
I got Danielle and then Len.
I guess I was kind of curious if this is an additional workload for tribal health staff, if they were gonna have to update reports and fill in and send data to you guys, or do you guys just reach in and grab the data from the software? You guys all have the same software, or?
No, so they do the reporting, CSKT sends it willingly through IHS. And then it goes from IHS, it goes from the local area to the national warehouse. And then from the national warehouse, it goes to the EDM database. They clean and do all the work at the IHS level. And then it comes back to me. We're currently getting USBs quarterly from IHS. That's secured, that I have to like put codes in and stuff. And then I download the data and we assess it at that point.
Okay, so you're just accessing data that they're already sending to IHS?
Mhm.
Okay.
Go ahead, Len.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Eleanor, thank you for taking the time to be here today.
Yeah.
It's good to see you. Yeah, Eleanor did do a report to us at the tribal leaders. And essentially what she'll be doing is visiting with all the tribes and trying to acquire this, or trying to get this agreement so we can get all this data together. The importance of this is this information is used for the grants that Tribal Leaders Organization goes after. And so they always needed updated information. And at some point in time, I will be asking the tribal leader staff to come in and give us an update on exactly how much funding is coming to our tribe and how many grants do they administer? And what is the funding used for specifically? So, but I would make the motion to approve the resolution authorizing Rocky Mountain Tribal Ophthalmology to use tribal data.
We got Jamie, go ahead.
I think it seems like it's a great thing and we had this before, but I just wanted to ask, as far as the government is concerned, what is the process for data sharing agreements? When they come forward, is there typically legal review or are they just, approved here? Well, yeah, that's what I'm wondering is, it's, if tribal health then sends it to legal, maybe Dan Decker could answer. Dan, I was asking what the typical process is when we have data sharing agreements come forward. Is it okay for us just to renew an agreement or does it still need to go through legal review or?
So thanks for the question, Madam Vice Chair. So since 2013, and obviously Matea Grant's in the room now, the tribes and the council created the Tribal Research Review Board. So just taking a quick skim of this, it looks like something like this would probably go to that entity, and I'm sure Matea and the board would probably reach out to Joe and Tribal Health to get their perspective on it as well. So look at that initial look at it. That's where I think it should go next. And obviously legally involved, we have Katie and Chelsea that assist Matea with the research review board stuff. So, and if there's HIPAA questions, then we can get Lana and Brian involved too, if that comes up. So.
Other thoughts?
I just wanted to add that I think it's a great thing. I think that you guys do great work. I just want to make sure that we're following the correct process.
And I believe Eleanor's going to meet with Matea after this discussion, so. Yep.
So does that mean table the resolution?
That'd be legal's recommendation, but obviously council can do as it chooses, so.
Jamie?
Could it, instead of her having to come back, could it, after she talks to Matea, could Matea then just bring it forward on her behalf so she doesn't have to make another?
Yeah, if that's the board's recommendation, certainly.
Okay, and then my second request, I guess, for today, besides the health, the data use agreement was a letter of attestation. So at the epicenter, we're working on 4 different data modernization efforts for our region. And one of them is to get access to the American Public Health Labs AIMS network, which has all of the infectious disease reporting goes through. It goes to CDC, APHL, and then it's called RCKMS, which is the reported case conditions, which is like any infections and stuff. We don't have access to that right now. At the epicenter, that information goes to the states. And state of Montana does not recognize our public health authority as a tech. And so if we wanted to gain access to that, we have to ask each of the tribes if they are willing to give us they're willing to lend us their public health authority to pull information from the system. So there is a copy of the letter from their general counsel for APHL, which is Troy, saying that if we want to have access to the electronic case reporting system, electronic lab reporting, that it needs to, there's a template in there for that as well. If you have any questions on that, I can answer it.
Before we move to that, Len, you have a motion on the table. Are you willing to withdraw that or do you want to move forward?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move forward. This process here benefits all of the tribes in Montana. And that's part of the task that we've given Eleanor to do. So, yeah, I think we just need to, I would just like to move forward. And I'll keep my motion on the floor.
Go ahead, James.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask if we could run it through the process, but I'd like to second it, but I'd like to see it go through the process as well. So I don't know if I can do that as a second, but I'll second it.
Motion by Len, second by James, and there are actually 2 resolutions in front of us, right?
One's a letter of attestation. And then, which I guess isn't necessarily, the way they told me was it has to just be on tribal letterhead and signed off by tribal leadership. So I don't know if that means it needs to be a resolution and put in resolution format.
Well, our packet has 2 resolutions. No, not per letter. But these are presented both as resolutions. The first one is a resolution in support of Rocky Mountain Tribal Leaders Council, Tribal Epidemiology Center, and authorizing RMTEC to acquire, analyze, and use tribal data and information held by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the state of Montana, and or the Billings Area Indian Health Service and IHS service unit level be de-identified data to assist Montana and Wyoming tribes improve their health status. That's the resolution, right?
Correct.
And that's what Len has made the motion to approve with James's second. Following up on that in the packet says it's the resolution.
Oh, that's a copy of the resolution from 2014.
Oh,
So
okay.
I wanted to share with you guys what was
Gotcha.
done previously, so you can refer to that to see what's the differences to the current data use agreement from the old one.
Okay. We'll call for the vote on the motion that's on the floor. All in favor? 1, 2, 3. 3, 4. We got 4 votes for, all against. Greg. Danielle and Carol against. And I'm hoping that it'll go through the process as well. So we got 5 against. So the motion fails. And so the vote was Len, James, Jamie, Bing 4, and Greg, Tom, Danielle, Carol, and myself against. And it can go through the process, and we hope it handle it after the process. That's
Okay.
basically, I think, where we're at. And the letter is the letter on 11.
I have a
Yes.
comment for the record, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. Carol and Jamie both have comment, and I think Jamie was first, so
I just
Jamie.
feel like our review board needs to take a look at it. It's a new process that we've adopted. It's been in place for a couple years, but I know this hasn't been through it. So I think it's important that we get the questions from the review board before we adopt. But I am definitely in favor of this going forward, but I think it needs that process first.
Hey, Jamie.
I just wanted to state that, I mean, I obviously wanted it to go through the review process as well. That's why I asked the question, but this has been a data sharing agreement before. So I want to assume that it was okay, but I would like to have it go through the process first as well.
As to the letter, go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just again, for the record, I want to go through the process. We have a new process and I made it an issue just a week ago or so that we needed to follow the institutional review board. So it's new, wasn't vetted, it wasn't existing back in 2014. So that's why I certainly support it. Just
Okay.
want to make sure that it goes through the right process that we've created. Thank you.
Thank you.
Matea?
I just want to add, thank you, all council. So this epidemiology center, it's great, but it is a goal for the TRRB to create one here within CSKT. And so we have more representative data of CSKT, and we are trying to create a data repository. And so we're still learning how this looks, the infrastructure, what these agreements entail, where our data is, and how this will continue to support Rocky Mountain tribal leaders and their work, and then also support us and how. So that's kind of where I think our questions will be, what we're looking at. And we are meeting with Joe, who is the contact person. And so each department will be asked kind of what they need for their data. And so that's where we're at on that part, on the TRRB side.
Appreciate that. Jennifer? Oh, okay. Has everybody looked at the letter? Questions about the letter? Any objection to moving forward with the letter? Go ahead, Danielle.
I think it kind of goes along with the last issue. I think legal needs to look at it and tribal health.
We'll have legal review it and as soon as legal puts the okie dokie on it, it'll go out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Happy New Year. Dan, are you looking for executive? We will go out of regular into executive.
Did you
and
want a quick
take a
break?
break? Or
Thank you. So the Ronan Tourism Grant Program is a Montana Department of Commerce supported place-based investment program designed to help small and rural communities strengthen tourism assets, crucially while delivering lasting community benefits. We are hoping to use this program. It's a 5-year program, so continued use to improve community infrastructure, especially through the enhancement of walkability, safety, and access to local destinations. And then just general economic development, improving the quality of life, and community revitalization projects. And we've very much geared this program towards the fact that improving the local infrastructure for locals is actually what makes it nice for visitors to come into. So it's really a community enhancement is the primary purpose of our pilot program. This is, I think, especially important because it ties in to the SS4A and long-range transportation plans that the tribe put out in 2025. And we are trying to enhance and complement those programs through this grant program as well, just through pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure especially, and connectivity improvements, especially with projects that link schools, downtown recreation, and services. So we believe that these two applications, and I will do a quick overview, but they tie in especially with the SS4A because they're both funding physical infrastructure and advancing non-motorized facilities. And they're tying, both of them are also tying into the long-range transportation plan through enhancing multimodal connectivity pathways and to improve access to goods, services, and recreation. The TTPSF, the Tribal Transportation Protection and Safety Fund, is a strong match for both the priorities of the tourism grant program and the SS4A and long-range transportation plans. Because it's specifically designed to fund the same types of projects. So safe routes to schools, including separated pathways, and direct implementation of safety goals. So the first grant application we are hoping to submit is for the Ronan 3rd Avenue pathway. Oh, I can actually, well, we have the map up for the Hot Springs one, so we can actually start with the Hot Springs. So last time I visited the council, I was kind of questioning whether there were some good projects that you suggested I pursue after a chat with Chairman Dolson, showing me this previous work that had been done on this pathway in 2014, I believe. About a third of it was constructed. We went to the engineers to try and implement this project. But due to the age of the plans and just some unknown factors, the engineers were not confident in building a cost estimate to just continue the implementation. So they suggested we pivot and apply for planning funds to complete like a phase 2 plan, engineering plan to finish this project. And then we could bring it back in the following year and either apply for this program or look for additional funds to implement that project. So this is just a good step forward in our opinion. This project, so it requests about, I have a total, it's $146,000 to complete engineering and design for the final section of this Hot Springs pedestrian path. It's an 8-foot ADA accessible separated multi-use path along Highway 77 that connects Hot Springs to the Montana 28 junction. This fits and is mentioned explicitly in the SS4A for a shared use path along that exact route. And it's also mentioned as a priority in the long-term, long-range transportation plan. And I'm happy to answer any questions about that, but that's the general overview of that one. And then, sorry, what's that? Questions? And then TTPSF allows tribes to submit for multiple projects at once. So we are also trying to implement the 3rd Avenue walkability plan that was paid for, the engineering plan was paid for through the tourism grant. So we're trying to just take that engineering plan that was literally finished 2 weeks ago and just implement it right away. That project is for a 10-foot wide ADA accessible asphalt multi-use path on 3rd Avenue right there in Ronan. Thank you, Scott. With a minimum 5-foot boulevard, separation from the roadway, ADA ramps, and approach connections, lighting, and safety signage. And it's important because it connects directly to schools, recreation, the health center there, and Main Street Ronan. So it's connecting a lot of crucial infrastructure in Ronan to the highway and to each other. The total cost of that project that we're applying for is just over $1.5 million. The one component that we expect to maybe be, we'll see how the Department of Transportation reacts to it is the lighting component, which is $220,000, and that would just be something that they peel out when we would implement at a future date. I think that's the general overview, but I'm happy to answer any questions. Those are the two applications.
Go ahead, James. Then Greg.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. Taylor, so in that section on the Ronan route, the last one you mentioned, on the crosswalks, is it going to be just regular signage, or are there going to be signage with light indicators? You know, somebody pushes a button and it tells traffic, okay, somebody's trying to get across the road. Is it going to have?
I believe
that?
flashing signs are included in the signage.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
And I know that all the safety measures in this engineering plan are in direct reference to the SS for A as well. So they're trying to pull all the, and the SRT, I'm sorry, SRTS, the school program as well.
Yeah, the follow-up, Mr. Chair. The reason I mentioned that, because my cousin down, it's a separate area, but walking across Highway 93 in town there's one that has that and another one that doesn't. So
yeah,
I'm just thinking, I know this is going to be it's a slower area, but still, I think it's important that if there's crosswalks that possible, have any kind of visual something to say, hey, dummy, slow down. Somebody's trying to get across the road.
And I can verify, I don't know the engineering elements as well off the top of my head as I wish I did. I wish I could just absorb that, but I'm almost certain that the flashing signs are included.
Wait, Greg.
Yeah, you know, Henry Ford once said that we can give these cars away because we can make a great living just fixing them, right? So I'm curious as to, I'm not sure just what type of material is going to be in place, but I'm curious as to what you would project the maintenance budget for these paths to be, and whose responsibility will it be for that? So for the recipient of the funds, are we also making a commitment to maintain them, and what would that ongoing cost be? But otherwise, great project, you know, looks good.
Great. I will give my brief answer and then hand it off to Scott for further details. I know that the city of Ronan, the municipality, has agreed to do maintenance on the Third Avenue project. And I believe Department of Transportation, we're trying to come up with a maintenance agreement with Department of Transportation for the Highway 77 project. But you might have more details on that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know that on similar projects, MDT has said and maintained that they don't usually do maintenance on pathway projects, and they come up with maintenance agreements with local and like the Ronan North project from this intersection of Third Avenue going north, that section of highway that had the pedestrian path on it, there was a maintenance agreement with I believe the county and CSKT and maybe a little bit of the city of Ronan, I'm not sure, but we had all had it spelled out in the agreement of who's taking care of what. I think what CSKT's portion was, and I'm not positive, was more long-term stuff, like if it needed a chip seal down the road on a asphalt road or a pathway, we would do that. But we wouldn't do the daily maintenance or snow plowing and things like that of it. But we come up with an agreement like that for these.
So the cities then are gonna, Hot Springs and Ronan are gonna basically take care of those things?
Ronan, certainly. We have a full confirmation for that. And then I'm trying to work with Hot Springs to seal that agreement.
Yeah, I don't think there's any commitment by the city at the moment, but I think they're maintaining the part that's there already.
Yeah. And this is just the engineering plan, so we have a little time to work out that agreement still if this gets approved.
Other questions? Well, yes, we got a need for two different motions here, one for the Hot Springs project, one for the Third Avenue project, Third Street project. James? Carol?
Motion on Hot Spring.
Motion to proceed with Hot Springs by Carol, second by Danielle. All in favor? Unanimous. Third Street? Motion by Jamie to approve the Third Street grant application. Second by Bing. Bing's got his head going. All in favor? We're unanimous. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Taylor.
Yeah, thank you all, and I look forward to seeing these things come to life.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Happy New Year.
Well, that's our agenda.
Hey, Scott, could I just visit with you? Just stop.
Related to council.
In other words, we can adjourn. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
For Scott or for council?
Nope. No point.
Okay, go ahead.
I just have a question, or actually I should,
Jamie's got a question.
you know what, actually, I'm gonna wait because Carol, did you send me that? Okay, no, it was based on when Lance came in and asked about that home that was on the drain field. And then I know that I had voted no against it, and then we had received an email stating that that wasn't the spot that they said, and so
The sewer system?
the drain, septic drain, yeah. So I had wanted to be clear on that because he had sent an email, and I think Carol was gonna send me another email.
Jennifer? Manny?
I have a question from my homework for you guys. I just want your guys's like
A
opinion.
homework question.
It's so it says the Iroquois system used consensus rather than majority voting, and it included strong checks on the leader's power. How might American democracy be different today if it had adopted consensus over decision making instead of majority rule?
What'd you say, Carol? Did nothing ever get done?
Nope, usually when you have more than this many people, you can't get anything solved because people can't agree on it. I mean, I'm probably the worst one.
Well, the Iroquois found a way to do it because there was a lot of them.
I think
Think about consensus, it allows people that are afraid of speaking to have someone advocate for them, speak for the spoke.
Yeah, what I have down so far is, because I was working on it while we were doing this, is consensus is a universal agreement that requires everyone to agree or support. Consensus overall can take more time compared to majority. You must have 50% or more votes. And consensus values all the voices involved and creates unity. But I just wanted what your guys' opinion was for the rest of it.
I like that it slows the decision down. Go ahead.
Ideal.
No, I think that back then it worked because there was more communal living, so the communities were closer and living closer together, and as families have spread out and things like that, it's made it not as easy to gain that consensus where you have to kind of go by majority. If the community was as tight-knit as it used to be, it would work, and it worked back then, probably because of that reason. That's just my opinion, but we're just too spread out now and not as closely connected as we used to be.
Understanding, voting.
I just wanted to say that your definition, I think, is good. I think the unity part is really important because I know that there are native businesses out there like that do facilitation and strategic planning, and they use a consensus model, and it always turns out more successful because everybody in the group, it takes longer, like somebody said, but it actually was more successful because everybody came to consensus.